So spring is coming slash is here. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing my spring is coming video. So if you remember, I started doing this like new TBR slash TBR Vote style video where I was talking about my reading plans for the next season, and also about some new releases that I may be looking forward to in the next few months. And then I was doing a TBR vote, and I called it Winter is Coming last time. So I was planning to do like Winter is Coming, Spring is Coming, etc. Um, but as you know, it's end of April right now, and I still haven't done my spring version of this. So I'm going to still call this Spring is Coming, although I'm a bit late. So yeah, let's get right into it. I just want to talk about some of the books I'm planning to read in the next few weeks slash months. And yeah, the first book I want to talk about is one I'm reading right now, and that is Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin. You can see I started putting tabs on my book because were some nice quotes and some nice passages I wanted to look back on, especially because I'm buddy reading this with Jake, or I was buddy reading this with Jake in March, but I'm super slow, so I'm still on it. He has finished at this point, so yeah, I wanted to, like, if in case we do like a discussion video or something, I wanted to have like some references to go back to, and there was a part of this book where I just was putting tabs back and forth because I was loving that part. So anyway, I'm about like I think 150 pages or so from the end. Not even 150 pages from the end. Like, there is a large chunk of this end part is still an interview with George R. R. Martin. So yeah, in terms of the story, I'm almost finished. I finished the Dance of the Dragons part today, and yeah, I hope I'll finish this in the coming few days, and then I'll see if Jake is still interested in doing a spoiler discussion for this. But yeah, so I've been enjoying this a lot, and this is my main priority book to finish right now. So that's one that's kind of carrying over, and I actually have a few more books that are carrying over still, because the last few months were a bit weird for me. Like, the winter was pretty good, and then March was pretty good, but in between I had a few months that were either I wasn't reading at all, or in March actually I started doing an internship, which this is the first time I'm really doing a job, a full-time job. So I've been kind of struggling to get all of my work done, plus get a lot of reading and filming done. So that's why I still am stuck, not really stuck, but like I still have a few ongoing books which I do want to finish before I start some new books. And one of those books I've been reading since November, I think, and that's The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. So obviously book one of the Wheel of Time. This I started around the time when the show came out. And then I was reading it. I was enjoying it quite a bit, actually. Like, I wasn't loving it, but I did enjoy it. I got about, like, I think a bit over halfway through, but then I went on vacations, and then I didn't read a lot on vacation. So like, this has been on hold since then, and I've been kind of waiting until I'm back in the mood for this, because I do still have a good chunk of the book left, and I don't want to force myself to read it. And overall I was enjoying it. I obviously love the prologue. Like, if you're on Discord, there's this whole joke about me reading the prologue a lot of times before I ever started this book and listening to it. I do love the prologue. Unfortunately, the prologue has been the best chapter in this book so far. So I do think it's been going quite well, but it hasn't been a favorite or anything like that yet. So that's why I'm not going to force myself to go through this, but this is something I do want to finish soon. And regarding the show, I actually only watched the first episode of the show, and I started this a few days before the show, I think. Then I watched the first episode of the show, and I wasn't super hooked, so I decided to go through the book first, because I wanted my first impression of a lot of the things that happened to be from the book. So that's why also the show I haven't gone through, and I've heard a lot of, like, I think at this point mostly negative stuff, especially from book fans who didn't really enjoy a lot of the decisions that were made. But also for that, I'll go into it with an open mind and see how I feel. But the show seems like it was underwhelming for a lot of book fans, so that's kind of sad. So interestingly, the next two books, so we're still in the books that I started and didn't finish. So The next one is The Hobbit, and this I started even before Eye of the World. So this I just randomly picked up, I think back in September. So this I picked up on audiobook because I was going through Dresden Files and I took a break from it and I was just looking for a random audiobook and I had the Andy Serkis Hobbit audiobook ready to go. So I was like, okay, let's try that. And I was really enjoying Andy Serkis's performance. Unfortunately, like while I was only listening to it, I had to go back quite a few times because he does a lot of like really cool voices, but sometimes it's hard for me to understand them without having the book in front of me. So then I switched to doing both audio and physical at the same time. But for that, I couldn't really match my speed, my reading speed with the speed he was talking at. And like, yeah, I don't think immersive reading hasn't really worked out for me. I've tried it with this and also with Eye of the World a bit. But yeah, it didn't work for me in either case. So maybe that's just not something I can do. But yeah, I'm about a third of the way through this. And this is, again, something I'm waiting to be in the mood for this. I am enjoying it. Again, not something that I would say is would be a favorite. I don't see this being a favorite for me, but like it's super fun and like it's nice to like see like yeah where a lot of people's inspiration for fantasy comes from. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to read this. And yeah, I'm not sure like if I yeah, I'm not sure when I will continue this. Again, similar to Eye of the World, I just want to be in the mood for it and not force myself to read this stuff. But I do think that for both of these, I will try to prioritize them. Once I finish Fire and Blood, that, yeah, I finally go through these books with and don't just keep starting new books. Like, yeah. And then the final book that I've also been in for for a while now, and this is one I probably just shouldn't have started because I started it at the very not a bad point, but like I made a rash decision, let's say. So this is Time of Contempt, which is the Witcher book. Okay, which is the Witcher book 4 slash book 2. So it's the second novel, but the fourth book actually in the series. Um, yeah, so I started this immediately after watching season 2 of The Witcher on Netflix, and I loved season 2 of The Witcher. I know it's a bit, yeah, has a mixed reception, but personally, I really enjoyed it. Season 2, I thought really got me hyped for this, and that's why I just picked it up and started reading it. And I read one chapter, like the Witcher chapters are quite long, and then I just kind of stopped. So yeah, again, this was similar to Eye of the World, where I was reading it in winter, and then I went for vacations, and then I just didn't go continue with it. So yeah, this is probably of the three that I'm in. So of Eye the World, Hobbit, and this is probably one that I'm yeah least inclined to go back into right now. But again, this is one that I do want to finish at some point. Like Witcher has been, I love the short stories, but the novels have been kind of up and down for me so far. Blood of Elves was very mixed. This it was fine the bit I read of it, but it wasn't any thing where I would be like, yay, I want to just continue and binge through the book and the series. So, yeah, this is again something I'll for sure finish this at some point, but yeah, I'm not too fussed about getting to it soon. Um, but yeah, as I said, these three are kind of the books that I do want to finish and prioritize them before starting a lot of new stuff. Yeah, so those are the ones that I'm right into already. And then I'm on audiobook. I'm also doing The Dark Tower, and I'm reading book 3, The Wastelands, right now. So that's also one I want to finish. That's one I'm actually prioritizing reading. Like I'm a bit slower because this month with audiobooks, but I've been listening more the last week or so. Um, and yeah, this is a read along, if you don't know, on Mike's server. Scott, who also has a channel called Bald Booktuber, is hosting a read along for this, and they are on book 4. So we always start on the 19th of each month. So now April was book 4, which is Wizard and Glass, but I'm a bit behind. So that's why The Wastelands, I'm still on that. And then as soon as I finish that, I'll probably start Wizard and Glass as well. And yeah, for Dark Tower, I've been really enjoying it so far. I really enjoyed book 1, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it because it's kind of a yeah mixed reception for that book. But I really loved it. I also loved book 2, though I think I do enjoy book 1 more. And if you want to hear more thoughts of mine on this, go over to Bald Booktuber. If I remember, I'll also link it in the description down below. We actually, so Scott, Madison, and I did a discussion for books 1 and book 2, and I hope we will also continue doing that with book 3 and book 4. Like, I think they're all waiting for me kind of to finish book 3 to do that one. Yeah, but Dark Tower, man, it's been crazy, bizarre, and like unlike anything else I've read. So it's super fun to read, super fun to go through, and I really love Stephen King's writing. So I'm for sure going to stick with that read along and yeah, finish this series. Yeah, so that's kind of, since we're doing one book a month, that's going to be like the next 2 3 months still going on. Dark Tower, I'm super happy that I'm reading it. Like it was probably something I wouldn't have prioritized myself, so I'm happy that this read along came along, and yeah, it's super fun. So if you haven't read the Dark Tower, I would definitely say give it a try, and yeah, maybe also give book two a try if you don't love book one, because book one is a bit weird. It's kind of a prologue through to the whole series, and book two is really different. And like each of these books are very different. I think book two is more of an accurate gauge of whether you will enjoy this or not. Yeah, for me, it's just I'm like, King, do your thing, and I'm just along for the ride because yeah, I've just been loving everything he's been doing, and yeah, so for me, this has been super fun. Other than that, my TBR is kind of open, so I can do whatever I want, basically. So I do have some things that I've started that I want to go on with. So I read A Memory Called Empire last month. That was a read along that was hosted on Alex server, and yeah, we were reading like A Memory Called Empire in March, and then A Desolation Called Peace in April. I didn't get to Desolation Called Peace yet. I did enjoy A Memory Called Empire quite a bit, so I do want to continue for sure. So that's one that I'll, if I have time, will squeeze in the audiobook at some point. So yeah, that's one that I want to read. Okay, and then apart from that, the one major thing that I do want to get to soon is this book, which is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So, okay, I won't hold this one because it's heavy. The Way of Kings. So this is also one I've been putting this off for quite a while. Yeah, so I started reading Brandon Sanderson in 2020. I read Elantris, I read the Mistborn Era 1 series, and then I read Warbreaker last year. So I've been going through the Cosmere basically in publication order. So yeah, Way of Kings is next, and I've been putting it off for a while now, but I think now slowly it's time to get into it because I want to slowly go through them before the next book comes out, which I think is going to be sometime next year, probably end of next year. So yeah, that's why Way of Kings, I'm super looking forward to it. It's probably, yeah, it's one of the most hyped series for, or it's not, it is one of the most hyped series, but it's also one of the series that I'm the most hyped for because I enjoyed Mistborn Era 1 so much, and it's, yeah, I think everybody who knows me has been saying that like I'll enjoy Stormlight way more because most people enjoy Stormlight way more. So Stormlight seems like it has a chance to kind of be in that upper echelon of my top favorite series ever. Maybe even rivaling A Song of Ice and Fire, although I never expect any series to, going into it, you shouldn't expect like it to be your favorite series ever, right? So but yeah, Stormlight is something that I think is one of the few books where, or one of the few series where I can actually see it kind of being on that tier. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it. And yeah, in terms of expectations, I expect a lot of good world building, good characters. That's kind of the characters were the reason why Mistborn Era 1 isn't the in the absolute like 9.5 plus range for me. Like all three of those books were 5 stars for me, but to get to that next level, I think the characters were not good enough or not fleshed out enough. So I feel like Stormlight Sanderson, as a more experienced author, will probably do a better job with that, and then world building, magic, everything of that will be super interesting. That's kind of a given with Sanderson's. So yeah, I'm hyped to go into Way of Kings soonish. So, but yeah, I think Way of Kings is one that I'll actually only start once I finish all of the ongoing stuff I already have, because I don't want to have like Eye of the World, Hobbit, and Time of Contempt ongoing, and then already start Way of Kings. So yeah, that's kind of something that is a bit more of a long outlook, but it is definitely something I want to read. That's kind of all the reading plans I want to talk about, because I do want to keep it kind of open because the next few months will also be a bit unpredictable. I do think they will be like better than this month in terms of reading, but um, yeah, I don't want to like overextend myself again because yeah, I'm doing a lot of audiobooks again because for commute and stuff, and then with reading it depends kind of because like I mostly read then when I come back from work, and then it depends on how tired I am. So I'm definitely looking forward to read these books, but I don't know how much I can actually read. So I'm not going to like say too much, but yeah, I think this is a good amount of books for. Yeah, I think since I'm also late, this is like most likely for 2 months. So I think that's okay to be like, that's good. Now, so usually I would talk about new releases here, but I don't think there's any new releases in May and June that I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, I might just skip new releases right now. So I'm just going through my list. One that I am kind of looking forward to is In the Shadow of Lightning, which is Brian McClellan's new book, I think. And yeah, it's a new series completely separate from his old work, and that's coming out on June 21st. Um, that again, I'm like not sure if I'll actually get to it as soon as it comes out, but it's Brian McClellan is kind of an author that I have heard mixed stuff about. Powder Mage, you either hear like a lot of praise for it, or people are just like meh on it, like that it's not that good actually. So yeah, but I do think that this sounded interesting, and the cover is quite nice. So I did put it on my list, but it's not something that's like a super high priority. It's not like as soon as it comes out, I'll be like, okay, I need to read this. Maybe if I have a free slot, or maybe if I'm done finished, maybe if I just finished a book before that, I'm really like, okay, maybe I can just squeeze that in. Um, yeah, that's kind of also on the list. And then two things that I haven't written down actually, but those are actually probably more what I'm looking forward to is I think at the beginning of May, we are getting a new Dresden Files short story. I think it's called Little Things. Yeah, I think that's actually what it's called. And it's in an anthology, and I think it's coming out the first week of May. So, first week of May, that's literally next week. Okay, so maybe next week there will be a short story for Dresden. So if you don't know, look out for that. And then I think in July there is an audio exclusive novella coming out for Dresden, which is called The Law. So and those two are okay. July is actually summer, so I shouldn't mention that here. But yeah, that's also something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, that's still a few months off. But yeah, the short story which is coming in May, I'm definitely, I think, going to check out if I can get my hands on that anthology. So yeah, those are the new releases. All right, the last thing we do is the TBR vote. So if you don't know, the way this works is the following: I give you 5 options to vote for, and each of you gets 2 votes. Basically, you can go into the comments and write choice 1 and choice 2. So just make sure to specify what is your first choice, what is your second choice, and like for your first choice I'll give you 2 points, and for the second choice I'll give you 1 point, and then I'll tally up the points, and out of those 5 the book that gets the most points will be read by me hopefully soon ish. I still haven't read the previous winner, so but yeah, that's kind of the thing I'm doing. And in my winner reveal video for the last vote, I mentioned that for the votes, what I'm going to do is, since I have 5 options, I will maintain 2 of the options from the last vote. Basically, the second and third place of the last vote will get another shot this vote. So I think I will keep doing that. So yeah, let's get into the options. So as said, the second place from the last vote was Piranesi. So this will get another option. Again, this is one I still don't know a lot about this book. I've heard mixed stuff. I know people who love it. I know people who are just, yeah, super mixed on it and don't really like it. So, yeah, this is one. I think it's interesting. Yeah, so this is one. Not sure if I like it, but I'm definitely interested to read it, and it's kind of short. So, yeah, definitely something I want to read, and it got quite a few votes last time, so maybe this will be the winner this time. Then place 3 from the last vote was The Subtle Knife, which is his Dark Materials book 2. And this is a series this I put on my vote actually because I think I read the first book in the series in like end of 2019. I think that's correct. And since then I've just not continued. I liked book 1. Like I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. And I do want to continue with the series at some point, so that's why I put it on. Like if people make me read it, then I'll get to it sooner. So yeah, Subtle Knife was the third place. That's why it's still here. Um, oh, and I should mention, so what I'm doing with these votes is basically I'm trying to get to the books that I own either on my shelf or on my Kindle, books that I'm probably not going to prioritize myself anytime soon. Basically, those are the books that make this list. So last time there was one person who was wanting me to read The Last Unicorn. So Azuf, I know, I do still remember that, but I do not own that book. That's why it's not an option on here. So as soon as I do own that book, I will put it as an option. But yeah, the Kindle version is super expensive for some reason, and I haven't been able to find a physical version. I think I looked a few months ago, but yeah, there was some reason why I couldn't order it. So yeah, as soon as I own a version of the book, I will put it on here. But for now, since I don't own it, it does not meet the criteria. So that's why it's not on here. But one book that does meet the criteria is Peter Pan. So this is a classic, obviously, and this is one I do want to read. I haven't read a lot of classics. Peter Pan, definitely something I do want to read. I bought this nice version a while back, and yeah, I haven't read it yet. So again, short books, that's also one thing that I'm trying to do. It's like I'm putting short books on this because I'm super slow with long books. So I'm also super slow with short books, but it's more likely I will actually end up reading shorter books. So yeah, those are the first three options. The next two options are books that I own on my Kindle, and the first of those is A Shadow in Summer, which is the first book in the Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. And that's a book that I've also been looking forward to a lot. Daniel Abraham is an author I want to check out. Yeah, I've been meaning to check him out for a while, especially due to his connection with George R. R. Martin. So yeah, he's an author that I hear writes very like character and theme focused books, which I do think I will enjoy. So Shadow in Summer is the first book of his I want to read. I have not read anything else by him. I didn't watch or read the Expanse series. So Shadow in Summer is definitely the most, or Long Price Quartet is the series of his I'm most interested in, so that's why this is on here. And the final thing I'm putting on this vote is A Dead Djinn in Cairo by P. Jelly Clark. Now this is, I don't know, it's a novella slash a short story, so it's not actually a complete book, but I'm putting this on here because this is like a series, and P. Jelly Clark is an author I want to check out, and so I've heard about this one and about Ring Shout, but I don't own Ring Shout, so I put this one on here because it's an author I want to check out. And yeah, this sounds interesting. This is like a historical fantasy slash urban fantasy kind of thing set in Egypt. So it sounds super interesting. I think it also has some steampunk vibes. So it's kind of something that's outside of what I usually read, and it's an author that I haven't checked out, but seems to be gaining some popularity. So it's something that I think sounds interesting. That's why I want to see if my audience wants me to read it. So that's why it's on here. And yeah, so those are the 5 books. As I mentioned, Piranesi, The Subtle Knife, Peter Pan, A Shadow in Summer, and A Dead Djinn in Cairo. So again, you can choose 2 of these books, order them, and tell me in the comments which 2 you want. I'll obviously take the first one. If you don't tell me which is your first choice, which is your second choice, I'll just take the first one as first and second one as second. So yeah, just make sure to specify or do it in that order. So yeah, that's for the vote. In terms of timing, so the vote, I think I will close this at the end of April. So you have time until 30th April, and I think I'll probably record the winner reveal video hopefully next week. And yeah, that's it for Spring is Coming. Maybe I should just call this Spring is Here. Maybe I should rename this. Anyway, I don't know. If you have a different branding idea for this thing, tell me. One that maybe lets me be a bit more flexible with when I post it. But anyway, like, it doesn't matter that much. So, yeah, that's all for the books I want to read for the TBR vote and for the new releases. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know which of these books you want me to prioritize. Make sure to give me your vote down in the comments down below. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Goodbye.